Imagine waking up one morning, stepping into your kitchen, and seeing a face staring back at you, not from a window, not from a mirror, but from the floor beneath your feet. At first, you think it's a stain, just a trick of the light. But then, it changes. The mouth stretches, the eyes shift. And no matter how hard you try to erase it, the face always comes back. And then, the others appeared. This isn't a legend. This isn't a ghost story told around a campfire. This happened, and decades later, we still don't know why. Welcome to the mystery of the Belmez Faces.
In the small, quiet town of Belmez de la Moraleda, Spain, nothing much ever happened. Life was simple, peaceful, until one day, something appeared that defied explanation. Maria Gomez Pereira, an ordinary housewife, was going about her daily chores. She had done this 1,000 times before, cooking, cleaning, tending to her home. But this day would be different. At first, it was just a stain, a faint, dark patch on the cement floor. A trick of the light, perhaps. Nothing worth a second thought. But over the next few days, the stain grew. Shapes formed, lines sharpened, and then she saw it. A face. Not a smudge, not a spill, but a human face, frozen in an expression of silent suffering. Panicked, Maria tried everything to erase it. Water, soap, even chemicals. But no matter how hard she scrubbed, the face remained. It almost seemed to resist her, as if it wanted to stay. Word spread through the small town. Neighbors gathered, crossing themselves, whispering in hushed voices. Was it a message from beyond? A lost soul? Or something worse? The answer seemed simple. Remove the floor, remove the problem. For a brief moment, it seemed like the nightmare was over. But days later, another face appeared. And this time it wasn't alone. At first, it was just one face. A single, sorrowful expression staring up from the cold cement. But soon it was not alone. As the days passed, more faces emerged. Some faint, others distinct. Men, women, all with hollow eyes and twisted expressions. Silent, watching. The news spread like wildfire. Neighbors, friends, even strangers came to see the strange phenomenon. Some called it a miracle, others a curse. What were these faces? Spirits of the dead? Echoes of a forgotten past? Or something much darker? Once more, the faces were erased. The ground was dug deeper. Fresh cement was poured. Science, it seemed, had the final say. But the faces always came back. And with them came the voices. The faces had returned. Again and again. No matter how many times the floor was scrubbed, covered, or destroyed, they always came back. And with them came the whispers. Was it a divine message? A scientific anomaly? A carefully crafted hoax? Opinions clashed, and so the investigations began. Father Antonio had no doubt this was no earthly phenomenon. To him, the faces were restless souls, trapped between this world and the next. Spirits in agony, pleading for salvation. The priest believed he was right, but the faces did not fade. Science sought another answer. Dr. Enrique Rios, a geologist, dismissed the ghostly rumors. He believed the faces were nothing more than a chemical reaction, minerals rising to the surface, forming eerie patterns. But despite his research, something didn't add up. If it was merely a chemical process, why did the faces change? Why did they return even after the entire floor was replaced? Then there was the journalist. Carmen Ortega, a skeptic by nature, was convinced this was an elaborate hoax. Someone Maria, the townspeople, maybe even the priest, was behind it all. But the more she investigated, the stranger it became. No signs of paint. No human interference. No reasonable explanation. The priest had prayed. The scientist had tested. The journalist had questioned. But nothing had stopped the faces. And that's when the digging began. The whispers had spoken. The faces had returned. And so, the digging began. At first, it was just dust and stone. But then something else emerged. Something buried. Something long forgotten. Bones. Human remains. The very foundation of the house had been built atop an ancient burial ground. A graveyard hidden beneath the floorboards for centuries. Had these souls been disturbed? Had their torment been etched into the very fabric of the house? Or was it something worse? But just when they thought the mystery had been solved, the voices returned. The spirits had not been silenced. If anything, they had only just begun to speak. Something was still buried beneath the house, and it wanted to be found. The digging had disturbed them, but it had not set them free. Overnight, the faces had returned, more of them, watching, waiting. What was once an eerie anomaly was now an undeniable terror. The faces weren't just appearing, they were multiplying. Experts arrived, each with their own theory. Was it a hoax? A chemical reaction? An ancient warning? The town buzzed with speculation, but no one had answers. The blessing should have brought peace. Instead, it brought something else. The faces had always been still, but tonight one moved. She was no longer dreaming. The dead were speaking, and they were calling her name. Sleep had abandoned Maria. Every night, the faces returned, and last night they spoke. The town could no longer look away. If these faces were truly spirits, then the dead needed to be heard. And if this was a trick, Maria needed to be freed from its grip. Beneath the house, beneath the faces, lay something forgotten. Beneath her home lay a mass grave, a secret buried for centuries, and the faces had been crying out for justice. The spirits had been acknowledged, the bones given a proper burial. Peace had been restored, or so they thought. But some ghosts never leave.